Welcome back to Unlimited Reads. You're with Chris, and thanks for joining me today because I'm very excited to be bringing to you my end of year wrap up for 2024, and it's been a very, very epic year for my channel and for my reading. And I'm going to do something a little bit different today. The format is going to be like the end of year tag video with a couple of my own prompts thrown in for good measure. So let's start with how many books I read, and that was 53, which is conservative for me compared to other years because a lot of the books were made up of chonkers, which was awesome. Usually I would probably do between 70 and 80 books a year, but was down a little bit, but with the perfect excuse that I had read some long books. Okay, now let's start with the tag questions here. The first prompt is the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. Well, that's an easy one. It's the last book I read, Wind and Truth, book number 5 in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. It was 1,392 pages, so a clear winner for the longest book I read this year, and it took 20 days to read, which is the longest time I've taken to read a book, to be honest. Maybe the Count of Monte Cristo from a couple of years ago might top that, but definitely this year it is the longest book I took to read, and there's reasoning for that. Obviously it's a massive book, but then some of the book dragged for me as well, which slowed me down a little bit, but definitely a very clear winner there for that prompt. Prompt number 2, a book you read this year that was outside your comfort zone. Now this is a very easy answer. It was Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger. A book like that would be very easy for me to pass by in a bookstore without giving it a second glance, and it was only because of it being highlighted by the Illuminati, the most excellent booktube book club out there, with John from Talking Story, Dr. Philip Chase, Brian over at Belltube, and Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews. It's because of them that it came up on my radar. My curiosity piqued. I bought the book, read the first couple of pages, and had to stop myself because the prose from Kruger was absolutely brilliant and spellbinding and addictive. I just had to stop myself and finish my current read before diving in, and I absolutely loved it. So it just proves that if you're not aware of a book like this, it would be very, very easy to ignore it, and if you ignore it you miss out on such wonderful writing. So definitely a book I would not regret reading this year. Okay, prompt number 3, how many books did you reread this year? That one was, the answer to that is 3. I reread 3 Stephen King books this year. I read Salem's Lot, Pet Sematary, and Christine, which were all fantastic. My favourite reread of the year, prompt number 4, my favourite reread out of those ones was definitely Salem's Lot. I absolutely loved it. I had not read it since I was a teenager, and I just enjoyed every single page. It was absolutely brilliant. King was at his best with that book. He was only just getting started, and you could tell the enthusiasm from the writing, and it was just scary as hell as well, but a very enjoyable reread for sure. Prompt number 5, a book you read for the first time this year that you look forward to rereading in the future. If I was to pick one, again, it would be Ordinary Grace, because it became an instant classic in my eyes. It was so good that it would be a book I would like to read every couple of years, every 2 or 3 years, because it was just so well written. The prose from Kruger was spellbinding, as I just mentioned in the previous prompt, and yeah, a pretty solid answer for prompt number 5. Prompt number 6, a favourite single short story or novella that you read this year. I would have to say Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, taken from You Like It Darker by Stephen King. It was about a man who had a vision about a body, and he found the body and then immediately become under suspicion from the authorities, and he has to clear his name. And it was just a really good, engaging story. It was a fairly long short story, but it is one that's going to stick in my head for a while. It was my favourite story from the collection, and it was a very good collection at that. Coming in at a close second would probably be Two Talented Bastards, which was another really, really good one, but definitely Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream was my favourite short story. Prompt number 7, Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I think Ordinary Grace would appeal to a wide variety of readers from all walks of life because there's something in there for everyone. It's all about coming of age, and at the heart of the book is a murder mystery, and even though it didn't take the top spot for my favourite book of 2024, it was still a really, really good book, and I would recommend it to anyone. Prompt number 8, specialised appeal, a book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. I'd have to take Wake in Fright by Kenneth Cook, which is an Australian thriller novel, which is a very acquired taste. It's actually quite weird. The people of the outback are very strange, and I don't think everyone would like this book. I think there would be a very niche readership for it, and certainly I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because yeah, it is quite frightening and just plain weird. Prompt number 9, how many actual pages did you read this year? I think it's always fun to go through these statistics. Now, I have a really good spreadsheet that I bought last year that I've used this year, which has all this comprehensive information. It tells you the percentage of the genres you read in. So the pages I read were 23,979 pages, which when you look at it that way, it's absolutely huge, and you can't believe you've read that many pages, but it's really fun to have that calculated for me because it just puts it in a whole new light. Prompt number 10, what genres did you read mainly in 2024? Now, talking about this spreadsheet, it did break up the percentages for me, and taking out the most percentage this year was the fantasy genre, which is 42.1% of my total reading volume. Now, that's great because I did start 2024 wanting to read a lot more fantasy, and a lot of that fantasy was made up of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. So I read the entire Stormlight Archive. I read Mistborn Era 1, Mistborn Era 2, Warbreaker, Elantris, and the associated novellas and Tress of the Emerald Sea in between. So it was a really, really heavy fantasy year, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And the horror was 22.8% of my total reading volume, which was pretty good, and thriller made up 28.1% of my total reading volume. Then we had a couple of the smaller statistics here where manga was 1.8%, non-fiction was 1.8%, science fiction and crime were both 1.8%. So it's really cool to see those trends and see where which fantasy you read in the most, and it certainly added up, and is a very good statistic to have because it just shows you what your tastes were for any particular year. And I'll be using this spreadsheet again next year because it's just so comprehensive and has everything I could possibly want for my statistics and tracking my reading. Prompt number 11, did you have any DNFs in 2024? If so, how many and why? I had one DNF, and that was called In Too Deep. It was the latest Jack Reacher novel by Lee and Andrew Child. Now, it's unheard of for me to DNF a Jack Reacher book because it is my second favourite series of all time. I just found that I was very bored with it. There was no new ground covered with Reacher. Something new needs to happen. It's just, you know, he hurts people early on in the book, but it's nothing we haven't seen before, and things weren't moving very quickly at all. And I got 200 pages in and just thought, no, don't have time for it. Will I come back to it? I may. Maybe next year I'll give it another go and see how it fares up. But yeah, only one DNF this year, which isn't too bad. Prompt number 12, how many 5-star reads did you have in 2024? I had 12 5-star reads out of the 53 books that I read. Prompt number 13, how many 1-star reads did you have in 2024? And that was 1. I think that was Smoker on the Porch, which was a self-published novel which I didn't like very much. Prompt number 14, reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. So a lot of things happened this year as opposed to previous years. I ended up finally settling on a brand new channel logo, which will now stick permanently. It's all done. I wanted to make a new animated intro which would last for a long time, which I've done, which I'm very, very happy with. And I just managed to make sure that my branding was consistent across multiple platforms. So on my personal Facebook page and my Twitter page, all the banners will be the same and consistent so that I can maintain having my name out there for people to recognize. And I'm finally satisfied with it. after 3 years on BookTube, because when I first started, things were a little bit incomplete. So I didn't have a final logo made up or anything like that. I just wanted to get the content out and fix things later on, and I'm just finally satisfied with the channel art and the intro and the logo. It's all really good now, and I'm very happy with it, and I can see myself sticking with that for quite a long time, so much so that I may even get the logo printed onto a top or a t-shirt so that I can wear it when I record my videos. Now, as far as the community is concerned, I made 2 really good friends this year. First of all was John from Talking Story. He has been a fantastic mate, friend over the year. We've done a few buddy reads together. We've experienced the Stormlight Archive together, most of it actually, by reading it together and exchanging thoughts and impressions on Messenger, which has been great, and he's just such a great guy. And I've also made friends with Chris from the Bearded Book Beast as well, which we hit it off really well, and looking forward to interacting with him more in 2025 and catching up and having more chats and things like that. If you haven't checked out either of these guys' channels, you need to do it, because they are really great guys and they have awesome content. You really should check it out. A highlight for the year for me was a video I made with revealing the cover of the US edition of Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I actually got wind of the cover art, and I jumped on a video without a script or anything like that and revealed that, and YouTube obviously liked it. They scooped up the video, and on a search feed, when you type in Wind and Truth, my video came up first. I even outranked Daniel Green for about 5 minutes. Now, obviously, Daniel Green is a fantastic booktuber. He has millions of followers and subscribers, and just to have 5 minutes of outranking him was a fantastic thing for me. And no disrespect to Daniel, he is fantastic. It was just nice to have one of my videos at the top of a search. That was just ultimate for me. Having a video, my successful video on the channel ever was a recent one from this year, where I shared the cover art and spoke about a new anthology of stories set within the Stand universe, which Stephen King sanctioned himself, and contains a whole raft of really good contemporary writers writing their own stories set within this universe, which is going to be released in August next year. And I couldn't believe it. 2,300 views on my channel is unheard of. And I was shocked. It just kept going up and up and up. I was checking it every day, and it just staggered me how popular the video was. So it's my way of going viral on my own channel, and a lot of people saw it, which was great. It got some eyes on the channel. It got me some new subscribers and everything like that. And currently I am at 717 subscribers, so I'm getting close to the 1,000 subscriber mark. I would like to hit that target in 2025. My favourite video that I made for the year, there are a lot, but I think making the Jack Ryan Ultimate Reading Guide was a really good one. I've been wanting to do that for quite some time, and it just really stands out for me, and there was a lot of effort put in, and just wanted to preach to the people how good the Jack Ryan thriller series is and why I love it so much. Other highlights would include my growth as a creator. I am so much better now in front of the camera. I'm not as shy. I'm a little bit more outgoing, so my true self is coming out, and a bit of enthusiasm there on the camera rather than being more of a robot. And that's going to continue to improve in 2025 when I rely less on scripts. I won't be scripting. I'll be using dot points and making it organic and flowing so that it reduces the need for multiple takes. If I do it that way, I can pretty much guarantee there are going to be less mistakes and more one-take jakes, where I can just do a video in one take, which will save a lot of time on editing. So I've got that to look forward to. And finally, getting around to reading Brandon Sanderson for the first time back in January with The Way of Kings. Just experiencing his writing was life-changing for me, and there's a reason why a lot of my reading was taken up with Brandon Sanderson's work. I wanted to immerse myself into the Cosmere and take that journey, and I'm just so glad I picked him up, because he is my current favourite contemporary author. So that is massive, and I've just had a great time this year. I did have 2 reading slumps, which are never great, and I just worked on some strategies for getting out of those reading slumps, which is very important. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit burnt out now because of all the books I've read this year, which are really thick. Wind and Truth nearly killed me. You know, it just broke me mentally, and I did have to take a day or two just to process what happened. If you haven't caught my spoiler-free vlog on Wind and Truth, there are about 6 videos there that make up the entire reading vlog, and check that out. But apart from that, that's all I've got to report on for the year. I think I've wrapped up things pretty nicely, but it's been a really good year. 2025 is going to be better. There's going to be slightly different content. There's going to be a change on how I do things, so obviously not scripting. And instead of doing a formal book review, I'm going to lean more towards doing more reading vlogs and doing readathons and all that sort of fun stuff. Reading new series is going to be exciting. I'm starting the Wars of Light and Shadow next year by Jenny Wirtz. I'm going to be reading a little bit more manga. I'm going to be reading a little bit more middle grade, and just concentrating on enjoying the new series I'm going to try, and just the whole year worth of new books that I'm looking forward to as well. It's going to be very exciting, and yeah, bring on 2025. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. Offer up any comments below. Let me know how your year went on BookTube. But until the next video, guys, happy reading.